Ladies and gentlemen, I think it's a furry VTubing video essay. So we're going to check it out. Shoutouts to Bakoya. Unfair archetypes. What is an unfair archetype? How will they define it? Let's find out.
Let me show you a few snippets of the starting hand from certain archetypes and take note how you felt when you see it as you go. Ready?
Oh, I'm going to kill myself. Oh! Wait, to be fair, that could be any deck in the game, though. All right, that could be literally any deck in Yu-Gi-Oh. One of these is not like the others. There's a big difference between normal summon Ash and normal summon Magician's Rod. But I guess that's the point he's going to share with us here.
Now, I don't really know every one of my individual viewers' emotion, but the first three makes me sigh defeatedly and want to immediately press the surrender button. Except for the last one.
Oh, what, really? No, I thought this was the most powerful one.
The last ones feel different from the rest. At first...
Bro, I'm telling you, one day, this card is going to be like 8 negates, 2 searched cards, a draw 2. Like, just wait. Just with enough support, this card is going to, like, do that, okay? It might already be there, actually, you know, to be fair. There was a lot of support for this, so it might actually already be there.
Glance, I can sigh a breath of relief knowing I can play the game at least.
Oh, sorry, I'm covering them. There you go.
Why is this one different? Well, it's mainly because not all archetypes are made equally.
Oh, Yu-Gi-Oh! Eugenics.
Hello, my name is Bukia, and in the realm of Yu-Gi-Oh! I mainly play for hire. My own history with Yu-Gi-Oh! Is playing...
Really? He only plays for hire? I never would have guessed. It never would have occurred to me. Huh, that's surprising.
Plain and simple. I know of the anime, tribute summoning Blue Eyes White Dragon, summon Pot of Greed to draw 3 cards from my deck,
Oh, that video
and
is
select
so
all
good.
5 pieces of Exodia way back when. And then I dropped the game off until around 2020 where I eventually found out Konami has made a bunch of monsters that piqued my interest. I do not know how the game works at...
Konami made a bunch of new monsters that piqued my interest. And it's the fur hire archetype. I love furries, genuinely. I'm not being mean or anything. I genuinely love furries.
the time.
They're
I was
great.
bumbling around
I've
the
never
concept
had a
of
bad
archetypes,
interaction with a furry,
summoning,
ever,
Xyz,
genuinely.
Link summon, pendulum, and hand traps. Oh my goodness, I didn't understand any of that, so I basically ignored all that, except for link summoning, because that's what for hire uses. With basic knowledge and a static memory in mind,
I ignored all the new mechanics, except for the ones that were fur hire related. Okay. Pendulum, ew. Ixie, Synchro, Wait, Folgo? Yo, Folgo? He's a ritual with arrows? Everyone gangsta till the Folgo hit the board. I've always said that.
I played quite a few games against a friend who was on Sword Soul.
Okay, yeah, can I just say, this is not the best beginning of a video. Like, there's a lot to unpack here, but you know what? Let's get into the meat and bones of this. I'm sure there's going to be a very good point made. I'm excited.
I learned the hard way when I couldn't get my cards going while my friend is able to consistently normal summon Moye. And even when it looks like I managed to get something going, I am stopped by this card that he can just activate from his hand. And if I manage to stop his Moye, he would have Long Yuan to continue going, and his boss monster's attacks are much more bigger than mine. And the monster can also negate? For free?
Yeah.
Now, it would be unfair for me to compare between Fur Hire and Sword Soul, so I will instead use Fur Hire Deck Pack Sibling Sky Striker as an example, back when they first got released. I will briefly go over
Instead,
the
I
theme
will
of the
compare
two.
them to
Fur Hire is
vampires.
about a group of anthropomorphic animals who, despite their differences, still manages to work together to fight as one. And they have a really cool giant airship, while Sky Striker is
Your
about an anime girl named Rei, who pilots robot suits and uses specialized weapons from those suits to combat her foes. Fur Hire has 10 main deck monsters, 3 spell traps line up, while Sky Striker has 1 main monster, 2 links, and 10 spells. These two are complete polar opposites to one another. Fur Hire wants to spam the board, while Sky Striker only needs 1 monster and half their spell supports that 1 monster. Now, to an untrained eye, one would think that having more monsters is more effective to win the game. But this illustrates a problem
Surely.
with card designs. When you have to make cards in order to meet the quota, unfortunately, some of the cards would have to suffer, as I would call it, filler effects. I think every archetype has these types of cards. As a result of this, out of the Fur Hire's 10 monsters lineup, only 3 to 4 of these cards are considered
I think every returning Yu-Gi-Oh player in history like goes through this exact like phase, right? I remember when I came back to Yu-Gi-Oh in like 2014, and I remember like every like week Konami would just drop all these like new cards you would read on yugioh.org, and it would be like, oh, new card, it does this, new card, it does this, and then like eventually after like a few times of reading those cards, I just like something clicked in my head, and I was just like, why are these all so bad? And then you realize, oh, well, that's just the card game industry. You need to have pack filler. You just need to have just bad cards, you know? And then you just go through that, and it's like this eureka moment when you come back to the game, and you're like, wow, this this is just very blatant. Like, you just refuse to make some decks good and some decks bad.
Because Fur Hire has 10 mediocre to somewhat okay monster effects, Sky Striker one single monster gets the premium cream of the crop effect by comparison. Fur Hire really needs their fellow members to get it going. They have to exist onto the field in order to activate their effects. But in Yu-Gi-Oh, one of the most vulnerable and easiest spots to stop your opponents from doing anything is the monster zone.
Very well put together sniper reticule. So I know, just a side note here, but just a little trip down memory lane. Do you want to know what exact card I had that eureka moment with? So I came back to the game, and this was the card that, like, brainlit that for me. This one here. I read this, and I was just like, this card is unplayable. And I made a video about it, and I was talking about, like, why do Konami keep making bad cards? 2016. I think this card is so terrible. And this is when I just got so mad and was like, card games, what a scam. But then kept playing anyway because it's extremely addicting. But, you know, that's a different point here.
Even if you don't know how Fur Hire works, if you so much as to sneeze any hand traps or trap hold onto the direction of the Fur Hire, 95% of the times they're going to end their turn then and there. While Sky Striker has attacks every card's wishes they have to dodge those disruptions and is immortal under the right circumstances.
Taking a look at Rex
the
for
quality
hire?
Of this one monster outshines the entire monster lineup from their deck pack siblings. When Fur Hire manages to take one step past the racetrack, Sky Striker is already 10 steps ahead. But what about the spell traps lineup, you might ask? Surely Fur Hire 3 spell traps get some premium effects, and the Sky Striker gets mediocre ones. And I have to disappoint you, only one of it is playable, and it's a quick play Monster Reborn, an effect the Sky Striker monster has innately. Sky Striker, on the other hand, gets a Rhoda that could also be a Pot of Greed, a free body generator, negate that could also be a Change of Heart, a monster pop that could also non-target destroy another, and much more. And the best part of those cards that I mentioned are that none of them are once per turn. While Fur Hire field spell is a Rhoda, it replaces your draw phase 2 turns later.
Wait, what?
You have to hope that your opponent...
I didn't realize it was that bad. I think they made a new field spell for this deck, if I'm not mistaken. Give up your normal draw and then add a Fur Hire.
Doesn't even know that you have a field spell, and the field wipe is
it's a rota that you have to wait.
extremely hard to accomplish, as getting 5 bodies.
You know what they say? Good things
task,
come to those
even
who
with a
wait.
good hand. And if you manage to get 5 bodies onto the field, you are already winning the game already. And it is also extremely anti-synergistic as well, because when you put 5 bodies onto the field, you would want to attack your opponent for victory, but the field spell forbids you from dealing any more damage. It would even benefit the opponent since they know they would get another turn when you resolve this effect. If the point for the archetype is to have a long drawn
card is
game,
comically
you definitely
bad.
accomplished it. But you don't throw away your entire hand onto the field for nothing to happen. Speaking of nothing to happen, the continuous trap is also such casualty. The continuous trap reads, if your Fur Hire gets destroyed by battle, you can summon another lower level from the deck. You see, every one of the lower level monsters for hire has this small lines of text. Because of this one restriction,
Wait, what?
if your Fur Hire is destroyed by battle and gets another name onto the field,
Alright, did we need to demonstrate it with Celtic Guardian, man? Come on, like, that's so mean.
they don't get to proc their effects. It really baffles me that right out the gate, Fur Hire really got the slow start ability. Now, don't get...
See, I don't need... My biggest, like, pet peeve with, like, bad cards and bad support cards isn't, like, that they're bad. It's when they're very specifically anti-synergistic. Like, they just don't work in the way that, like, the deck is clearly trying to be. You know what I mean? Like, that exact example is, like, a perfect example of it, right? It's like, oh, here's this trap card that, you know, brings out more Fur Hires and floats your Fur Hires effects. But all the Fur Hires don't trigger in the damage step. So it's like... oh, it's so annoying. Like, you know what I mean?
me wrong, I really don't mind if there are mediocre effects in some archetypes as long as it plays into the theme of the archetype or advances the board states of the archetype.
Oh, one brain cell. He literally just said that.
I love
okay.
archetypes like Wine Crystal having quick effect bounces like a fighting video game, or Nemleria using the extra deck as a bed and dreams about nightmarish monsters. But what I do mind is when the cards as opposed
I
to
never
work
thought
in
of it that
tandem
way.
to one another.
The extra deck is a bed.
Later, Fur Hire gets crumbles of support. 5 months after the first wave, they release Folgo, a unique link monster that's basically an E-Telly
Everyone
and
gangs until
summonable
the Folgo
pot
hit
of
the board.
greed. Finally, a high-quality card, but hold your Uma Musumes. Something that powerful must be kept in check, so Folgos has 3 restrictions placed on him. One is that he cannot be used as linked material. I think this is an understandable and okay restriction since on link summon, he summons another name from the deck immediately. Access code was
What do you mean you never realized that?
It wouldn't be far-fetched for someone to put in a Folgo and a
I
card
don't
in their
think
deck
about
with an easy
Nimlyria.
access code line. Second restriction is that the monster he summoned comes in defense position. In, again, a deck that already have trouble dealing damage. And Folgo can only Pot of Greed if you control 3 names, and he has to see that your opponent's card is destroyed by battle or card effect. These are very delayed payoffs. If your opponents decide to do nothing, then Folgo is basically just a 2.4k vanilla monster that cannot get over a lot of the boss monsters at the time, which is mostly 2.5k stats or above. The monster he summons cannot help with battle as well since he summons in defense position. Granted, if you manage to proc Folgo's draw 3, you have a high chance of snowballing the game. Overall, I do think Folgo is an excellent card design. It forces you to interact with your opponent instead of a solitaire draw 3 for free. But all this work
Folgo is like... I will say, like, I know it's really weird. Don't, accuse me of anything here. But I actually really liked For Hire on release. So much so that I actually did a video on them. That's how much I actually thought they were cool. Now, I really liked them initially, but Folgo wasn't good. It was too difficult to pull off. So he was way ahead of his time. Because now Folgo is insane. Like, Rex just sets it up by itself. Like, it's like actually like super good. But yeah, it was like really difficult to summon. Not even summon, but like, really get full use out of.
Sometimes definitely does not feel worth it, because when this card was around, another very well-known card is already existing. Basically, any deck was able to have a souped-up Folgo effect already without having to play For Hire. The deck pack sibling, meanwhile...
Okay, it's a bit of a stretch to say Folgo and Maxi are similar cards, but,
6 months later, For Hire got another support in Philo, whose effect reads... Another monster reborn.
I've never played this one before.
In defense position.
Oh, this is the reborn.
In a link deck. Actually, it's the same card but a different skin, but I guess your opponent is less likely to deck you out. Then a whole year and a half later came the quick play spell Rookie, whose effect reads to tribute one monster, summon another one from the hand or deck of a different level. There's a better option right there. It's too powerful. Summon from deck. It's not like there's already an existing card that does it already, so it has an additional restriction, where you can only declare attacks with monsters For Hire. Whoopee! Now, I don't know if For Hire is made to be intentionally anti-synergistic, or in Konami's lab testing, they found For Hire to be too dominant, but it looks to me they don't know how For Hire functions or what they need. Every archetype
I love that he's using
Yu-Gi-Oh
the
has a
old
board
Konami
state they
logo.
want to get to, and there are different factors. What makes the archetype good is how well they can get to that board, how resilient they are, their ease of access, their probabilities, how they can play around common effects, and so on. I personally call this concept the speed of the archetype. Let's go back to the deck pack siblings. Say both of these decks wants to add a card from the deck to the hand. An incredibly common but powerful effect that boosts any deck's consistency. Both For Hire's Beat and Sky Striker Engage does this. In order for Beat to activate this effect, he has to be normal summoned onto the field, and another For Hire name has to be summoned onto the field. Then he gets to activate this effect, while Engage you can just first action uses it if you have a clear main monster field. Engage ease of use and not having any needing of using the scant few resources Yu-Gi-Oh have in place makes Engage faster in comparison. In an essence, cards that have simpler requirements and takes less game actions are highly valued. And when you go through hoops in order to resolve an effect, you have to make sure these effects are worth getting to. It's why convoluted replays that puts like 10 Omni Negates and a Floodgate on board exists. Or a single Malice card does it as well. It doesn't take the deck to have convoluted combos or end on crazy Omni Negates to be good as well. Some notable examples I can think of in recent time is Vanquish Soul and Draco Tail. Vanquish Soul is very much dependent on the hand that they're given, and at best has a Raigeki and maybe non-target pop for disruption. Draco Tail, which want to set up their trap cards and have Faima in hand, has every one of their monsters being able to easily access set trap cards that have a monster they naturally summon for follow-up. Another bonus these two archetypes share is having what the community calls it the turn zero plays. In my opinion, these are very good cards design that makes any archetypes able to be on pace with other decks, and also because it advances the archetype's goal. And again, these cards have to be high quality to be considered. Vanquish Soul have 2 turn zero cards. Because this one is so bad, they don't even play it. But when Holisu came out, it skyrocketed Vanquish Soul to relevancy. With all that in mind, let's go back to For Hire Core's issue. At this point, this deck is a clunky draw 4 and a pop and probably a negate.
Is it draw 3?
2 years after Rookie, they got 2 new cards in Darkwing Blast. They are finally fine with giving For Hire to summon in attack positions now. Whoopee! For Hire finally got its own Stratos in Rex to keep up with the modern decks, being able to search a spell trap For Hire and can banish itself to reborn a For Hire name or add any card back to hand. At the time, Rex is a good card, but this card is only good based on the quality of the card it can search, and the best targets at the time was Rookie and Mayhem. This was when Sprite was prominent. Special summon from hand effect while you control a Fur Hire name would have been a really good effect to mitigate Fur Hire's normal summon reliance. Having this effect wouldn't break Fur Hire either. As it stands, any new support have to do the heavy carrying of resolving old issues the archetype have. Engage wouldn't be prominent if all it does is search a vanilla after all. Rex mitigates an issue Fur Hire has, but it also makes Fur Hire weakness even more prominent. The other cards they receive is Donner, which have the Diamond Dire Wolf-like effect to destroy a Fur Hire name and destroy another monster.
I feel like I've seen this summoned in Kashtira more than Fur Hire, by the way.
Member from your graveyard or hand.
People used it to out like people putting monster on your side of the field or something.
Effect. The first one is barely used in Fur Hire because the second effect is more relevant as it finally fixes Fur Hire's speed issue. I say the first one is barely used because the designers think Fur Hire getting to use both of these effects in one turn is too strong, and so they give it a restriction where you can only choose one of these effects per turn. In my opinion, it would be extremely beneficial for her second effect to be a quick effect, but perhaps that would be asking for too much because later down the line, not far apart from one another, there is a link to with that line of text and can use both effects. These two cards are very good cards. It is a step in the right direction, but unfortunately they don't solve the issue Fur Hire has, only mitigate it. Donner became a staple card later on because of her ease her summoning requirements and deal with troublesome monsters. Fur Hire as a pure deck has never seen any light of competitive spirit unless you count Duel Links. The fact that their strategy is so passive that they found a home in—
Wait, hold up. Fur Hire, what is he saying?
In any light of competitive spirit, the issue Fur Hire has, only mitigated. Donner became a staple card later on because of her ease her summoning requirements and deal with troublesome monsters. Fur Hire as a pure deck has never seen any light of competitive spirit unless you count Duel Links. The fact—
Didn't Dinka Bui literally get like top 4 at a YCS with Fur Hire? Oh, I guess he said pure? I mean, I'd call that a Fur Hire deck. Okay, so there's two kind of archetype decks when people say them, right? So when people say like what's a really good example? Like I'm playing Mitsurugi and you look at the deck list and it's like Habakiri and the absolute bare minimum requirements, right? It's like, is that a Mitsurugi deck? Like, no, it's not a Mitsurugi deck. It's got like the Mitsurugi engine. I'm sure there's like a better analogy here. Let me think. I mean, this is probably just boomer brain, but like genuinely the best example I've ever come across is Lightsworn, okay? In 2016, Lightsworn was like arguably the best deck for a format. That Lightsworn quote-unquote deck was playing 3 Wolf and 1 Charge, I think it was at the time, a Lila and like maybe a Raiden or 2. It was like literally like 3 to 4 Lightsworn cards. And it was a 60 card deck, right? So it was a mill deck, and it was playing grass, and it was taking advantage of all this different stuff, but it wasn't like a Lightsworn deck, right? So calling that Lightsworn, you know, to some people can be a stretch. In the case of Fur Hire here, like, Dinka Bui's deck was that was a Fur Hire deck. It was playing Runics, of course, yes, it's another engine, but the Fur Hires were absolutely, like, the main, like, part of the deck. Whereas the example with that Lightsworn deck previously, I mean, you could do a bunch of just like random rank 4 stuff with it, right? Without Lightsworns, you know? So yeah, like I guess pure technically hasn't done well, but if I was a Fur Hire player, I'd be very happy if my deck was capable of topping YCS, getting deep runs in YCSs, even if I had to play a Runic engine, because you're still playing all the good cards, right? You know? It's like the adventure archetype. No one plays it pure, but everyone wanted the Griffin negate. Yeah, like that's not like an adventure deck. Right? No one has ever played an adventure deck. Right? I mean, I don't know. I say that now, but where is it? Dinka Bui Fur Hire. Runic Sprite Fur Hire. I mean, okay, it's a little bit low on the Fur Hire cards, I suppose, actually. You know. Okay. Sometimes it's not about quantity, it's about quality. All right, the entire purpose of this deck was Folgo, right? So, you know, you've got like 10 main deck Fur Hire cards, and then your end board was absolutely to resolve Folgo, to get the pop, and to get the draw, and that was like the entire gimmick of the deck. So it's not like it's like some accessory. It's not like it's some like, you know, extra piece of the puzzle that you can maybe go into, worst case scenario. Kind of like Yummy with Mitsurugi, right? Like Yummy is a good deck that plays by itself, and if you draw Habakiri, then you can also do like full combo. On top of that, you didn't need to draw it. I would argue if this deck didn't like get to Folgo, it would basically just be a really bad Runic deck, you know? So Anyway,
have
that's
to
just like
exist onto
a
the
side point.
fact that their strategy is so passive.
It was a good deck. It was really cool, by the way. I played this deck before. Like, oh my god. Listen, the serotonin of drawing cards in Yu-Gi-Oh, you know how it is.
Found a home in being another runic variant. A very cool moment for hire, I admit, but it definitely removes the hire goal of spamming the board and OTK. I was consigned to believe hire is never going to keep up. Years goes by, and in 2025, 5 new hire cards were announced. Excited and overjoyed I was. Are they finally going to address hire issues? Are they going to give any turn 0 cards because this was released after Havness, Halisu, Izuna, Faimena? And I'm happy to say that this is one of the most restrictive kinds of locks in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! Being locked into something means you have less access to the card pool. It is a restriction save for overwhelmingly overpowered cards so that they don't get abused. You can call it a self-floodgate in a sense, but it's not really a floodgate because even if you lock yourself into a specific card pool, it does not matter if the card pool have a ton of overwhelmingly overpowered cards.
Dodo Warrior locks you to Xyz and level 4s. That's okay. There's only 2,669 other cards I can use.
And as established, all hire cards have never been thought to be broken or overpowered in the slightest. To quote a friend, if it's not broken, it's not meta. To slap this restriction onto hire, the card must be insanely broken. Let's go over those 2 cards. On a clear field, Whirlwind.
This card's crazy. This card is crazy.
Double if your opponent controls 2 or more monsters. Then you are archetype locked for the rest of the turn if you resolve this effect. I cannot begin to fathom how much I love and hate this card. Being able to summon 2 from deck is the thing that any archetype wishes they have. Only if it wasn't riddled with many flaws for the archetype itself. In order to access Whirlwind, there are 2 ways. Either you open it with your opening hands or you search it with Rex. The problem lies with the second scenario. You can summon Rex, search for this, then you are unable to use it. I am not complaining about the lock per se. I am wondering why they see the hire archetype as like an Avengers level threat that needs balancing, at least so that it has this line.
Yeah, but like, you wouldn't search this with Rex going first turn 1, right? Well, the combo's like, what is it, Mayhem or something? And then you go Rex into Mayhem, and then you get... Rex is a 1-card combo, right? I'm not going insane.
Text as well, so that it gives this card more ease of use and options to an already existing line. Summoning 2 OK cards isn't going to break hire, especially if you're giving it an archetype lock. Habakiri wouldn't be in the conversation so much if it locks into Mitsurugi after all. It just makes this card very awkward and clunky to use as it also clashes to its own existing
the bad 1-card combo
itself. Folgo and Rafael draws from the deck often as well, and if they draws in...
Okay, but if you have literally any other hire in your hand, it is like full combo. Like any name, like literally any name, right? I'm pretty sure.
To Whirlwind, it becomes a dead card. It's the same feeling as drawing a garnet or pieces of your fusion material. You can use Donner to self-tribute to get an open field briefly, but often you cannot get Folgo off since he cannot be used as link materials, and you're probably also locked from Keel. Keel is essentially Moon of the closed heaven for hire. After resolving the first effect, you are then archetype locked. In my opinion, this is a good restriction on bridges. We have seen other decks that bridges to one another and can easily access that archetype side of the engine. I would argue this is a harsher restriction even when there are other existing bridges
I can only play 23 other cards.
I would prefer it so that you are extra deck locked into hire, something like the Archmage did with their restrictions, but that's probably just me being nitpicky. Even if you manage to resolve all the bridges affected the hire side, you are not getting the full hire board. A retrain of the field spell. It got cannons now, and it's what every field spell is nowadays. Only that they have to balance it cause you have to discard a card as well. And hire only have one main deck monster with the graveyard effect, and most of them wants to be in the hand instead of the graveyard. As a neat little bonus, it does take a couple of...
Isn't that really good though? Because you get Rex, and then... or if you have any other name plus Rex, like this like lets you put a guy in the graveyard, and then you banish Rex, and then Rex specials back the one that you searched, right? And then it's usually beat, and then beat like... Okay, listen, I'm not trying to justify like all these heavy restrictions and stuff, but like the deck is like fine, you know?
From the other hire cards
I like it.
Added in. This field spell basically has one OK effect and
anyway,
2 bonuses.
This video has essentially turned into like a hire like archetype archive, which is fair enough. I appreciate that. And I did like their analysis of the difference between like good deck versus like bad deck. And it literally just comes down to Konami just sort of refuses for some archetypes and card effects to be good, and it's just that simple.
In terms of modern field spell power level, this is at best okay. After 7 years, For Hire finally gets its own
This is the shit
extension.
I love. This is the most interesting stuff to me in
This is
Yu-Gi-Oh!
probably one of the best cards For Hire got in a while since it actually fixes the issue. I only wish this card is the turn 0 card For Hire get. A 2-card combo turn 0 shared right might be too OP, you might say. No other cards that can do that with much ease have already existed yet. The trap card
That's
has
pretty
the same
fire
counter
artwork.
situation as they believe For Hire might generate advantage too easily, so they absolve to give it yet another restriction. In Yu-Gi-Oh, there are 3 types of cards: monsters, spells, and trap cards. Spell is often considered the best one and even better if it's a quick play because you can use it
Ooh,
immediately
I don't know about
or set
that.
it and activate it like a trap card. Trap cards are often considered the worst unless they have a way to be activated immediately.
I mean, we're splitting hairs
So
here. It
giving a
doesn't
trap
matter.
card to an archetype which already have a hard time getting it going is an interesting choice. Does any of these 5 cards solve For Hire issue? Well, yesn't.
Yeah.
Like before, it solves one issue, but it creates another. In a world of no turn 0, you have to hope you have that Habakiri level of card design to advance your deck strategy. For Hire is essentially still a 2-card combo deck when every modern deck can 1-card combo. It is an interesting problem to have that other decks can 1-card kickstart your archetype's board better than your own archetype. Kill having to take 2 bodies in an archetype that already have a hard time putting bodies on board innately is an interesting move. It's not like Folgo needs a tougher time making it onto the field. Even more so that Keel sets the spell traps when majority of the For Hire cards are quick plays. I will give this a pass since Keel's best target is Fandora, and it is very on theme with his Shipwright work. Fandora having to discard
Shipwright, One Piece mentioned.
shared effects to summon from hand is again also an interesting choice.
Can't believe I never thought I'd see Frankie in a For Hire video.
As a pure deck didn't make any splash into the competitive scene. At best, Rogue. K9 For Hire became quote-unquote the strongest variant. This is a bit misleading since K9 is what doing the card carrying here. If you add in the For Hire cards, you are probably only making the other side worse. Interestingly enough,
Okay, but like, come on, right? Like, come on. It's like, oh yeah, I want to play For Hire, but like the K9s are the carry. But it's like, you know, come on. There's like some synergies there, you know. Like you gotta take what you can get. You could easily be topping locals or something with that shit.
Just so happens to work with For Hire. And it's a tour guide effect.
Ooh.
See, it's not that hard to make a high quality card with ease of use. In addition to that, there's also another card that somehow gives a small window to the fabled turn 0 For Hire plays, though it is still debatable whether it is an auto include. Now, I'm not complaining for the sake of complaining, even though I love complaining, but I genuinely do like Yu-Gi-Oh enough to complain. It's a bit of a twisted love, and all I ask is that the deck I play doesn't give me cards that I cannot use within its own archetype, or makes it hard for its strategy to function. At the very least, since it's not competitively viable, the card is cheap enough for me to collect. Now that the archetype seems content on its Xenolock, I eagerly await for Hire to get something broken to compensate. In 50 years.
Link
While
1,
its deck
I
pack
fixed the
sibling gets
issue,
more
I go
support,
+5.
an anime, and its 10th alternate artwork. Just don't give For Hire a floodgate or a counter trap Omni Negate. Thank you for watching. Bye.
I think that furries have enough sway and influence in the Yu-Gi-Oh community to get themselves better support. I think you just have to cry enough, you know, just like be really obnoxious and loud about it, and eventually like Konami will listen and give you good cards. I truly believe that like that is like a valid solution. All right, good video. I actually really like that.